Oh, good morning. Good morning. Here we are. Here I am anyway. You are where you are and I am where I am. And today, Wednesday, August 13th, I'm going to double check, as I like to do, just to make sure that I'm showing up at the right time. It has happened sometimes that I have showed up at a different time that than I said I would. So let me consult the Oracle. Wednesday, August 13th. Check. Oh, that was yesterday. TikTok Live, 8 a.m. All right, here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. So, good morning. In case you haven't met me before, my name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach. My coaching is called Destination Decluttered. Oops, I'm a little bit off center here. And you can totally see, I just noticed, a pile of shoes from my unpacking. I'm kind of between trips, so some of my stuff, it doesn't make sense really to put it totally away because it's just going to go in another suitcase. But regardless, it's cool. Good morning, Becky. And I saw Coffee and Chaos. Coffee and Calm, right? Chayla, BB, Andy, Annie, Shannon, Louise, Restless Soul, Barbara, Mary. Love it. Good morning and happy. Is it Wednesday already? Well, Monday was a travel day for me. Coffee and Calm, yes. Coffee and Calm. Doesn't that sound better? Like, here's the funny thing. With decluttering, with life coaching, with stuff in general, thinking I have a choice between this or that, which would I rather have? Would you rather feel the chaos, kind of the tornado, or the calm? Maybe the calm after the storm, but maybe not the storm at all. Hey, Ellen, nice to hear from you. I'm sure you had a great time away. I did. Prior to turning on to do the TikTok here, I was actually catching up on my entries in what I like to call my travel journal. Okay, now I say this is my travel journal, and technically it was. And Blonde Cheryl, nice to see you. And I, at the end of writing down the good stuff that I did, because I brought this with me when I was traveling, because I wanted to capture all of the things that really were cool. And already I know that when I tried to do like the finish off my Sunday here on Wednesday, already the memories of the good stuff had kind of faded. Whereas when I was writing these things down kind of as they happened or more in the moment is where I got a lot more kind of energy and like, yeah, that was really great. But at the end of it, I wrote, what an awesome adventure. And if that doesn't sound like something you would like to have them chisel into your gravestone, I don't know what. But yeah, can you imagine at the end of your life, what an awesome adventure. So I did have a great time. I really did. I realized at a certain point when I was getting, and I got cranky. I'm not going to lie. I got cranky at occasion. And yet I said, I have a choice. I'm starting to get cranky. I can stay cranky or I can stop that. I can disrupt that and then do something else that I think will get me less cranky. And let me tell you, the one story that pops up in my mind about that, it was like, thank goodness I stopped being cranky and did the thing, because then I got such neat stuff happening. So I did have a lovely trip, and I'm going to use that same approach on this upcoming trip. So that's enough about me and the talking about me and my travels, because I am here only for a finite amount of live time with you. This morning, it's 8:04 a.m. Eastern, and I will be here until 9 a.m. Eastern. Tonight, we have a YouTube Live, as I occasionally do on Wednesday nights, so that's happening. But then, Thursday, TikTok Live, YouTube Live, Friday, TikTok, YouTube, Saturday, Declutter Party. And then, as I wrote, it's see you in September. Off the digital grid, August 17th till September 1st. So let's use our time together right now. Let's use our live time together right now Now, as I said, if you know me, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. And the reason I call it that is because I like to use the metaphor of travel, because I do it a lot. And I love doing the road trip metaphor because pretty much every single one of us, for the most part, has driven a car or knows the concepts. And I like to use that to kind of talk about stuff you can do in simple language. So this is interesting. As I say that, morning Boston sports girl. Oh, it's wicked funny. I saw somebody on TikTok. I shared this with my sister. The guy who was talking about your New England vocabulary. And he's like, all right, we're going to talk about a scorcher when it's wicked hot out. And I was like, oh my God, that's so me. Now, True says the only clutter I have is in my head. Yeah, clutter in your head is equally as unsettling, disruptive, not as fun as your physical clutter. But the neat thing, True Orange Heart, the neat thing is that I have found the way I like to coach, because I'm a decluttering life coach, about clutter, the same principle applies. So if you have clutter in your head, and even people with clutter in their homes probably have clutter in their head too. So I like to start with making sure that if we were using the car metaphor, okay, before you get in your car to go anywhere, you want to know where you're headed. So that's your destination. And also make sure that your car is in good running order. Erin, nice to see you. My mug, I raised my mug to you. Make sure that you have gas in your tank. So like this morning, I got up, I took my vitamins, and I drank some water, and I actually went out for a walk. It wasn't a long walk because I slept in and I have you guys to hang out with this morning, but I got my body moving. I got the blood flowing in my bod, right? So making sure you feel good, as I like to say, from the crown on down. Then this is one, and maybe you can help me with this one, because I just realized the car metaphor of calming down your nervous system. Your car is always kind of there. If it has gas in the air in the tires and gas in the tank, and the windows are clean and it's running well, it's ready to go. So that's your physical body. If your physical body is feeling good, it's ready to go. But in a road trip, the calming down of your nervous system, the quieting down and the calming down really is you as the driver in the car. Because the car is there waiting for you, just waiting for you to turn it on and to get it in gear and start to drive towards your destination. So the car is ready. You need to get yourself ready for the trip, though. And usually what has happened, and True says the only clutter I have is in my head, you may have clutter in your head that might be making it difficult for you to find where you want to go. I've got so many thoughts in my head. I don't know which one to deal with first. I don't know if I should do this or go here or go there or start here and then what order of things. That's when you find that clutter in your head, whoosh, calming down, quieting down. This is a big thing. Quieting down your nervous system, getting yourself ready. The car's ready. You as the driver need to feel better prepared. So one of the ways you can do that, I will share with you. True, I'm wicked simple here, okay? I am. I don't use any fancy, notebooks and stuff like that. I literally, as people know, buy mine when they're on sale for back to school. And sadly, it's back to school time. Like these 50-cent notebooks from Staples have served me well for the past 5 years, okay? I say that to you because I don't want you to think, oh, I've got to buy all this stuff and do all these things. No. True. What I would offer to you, and I like to use the word down, is if you have clutter, and anybody here who has clutter in their head, write down the clutter in your head. What are the thoughts that are cluttering your head? It's almost like somebody had this image yesterday that's coming to my head about not a gratitude, like a jar with a bunch of almost like little strips of paper with sentences written on it. And sometimes your brain might feel like that, like you've got strips of paper that each have a sentence in it, a thought, a sentence, and it's all crammed in there, so you have no idea what's in that jar of papers with, what am I thinking of? Fortune cookies. Like I was thinking about the strips of fortune cookies, right? Each one. So your jar may be filled with these little fortune cookies of thoughts. You can't read it when they're all crumpled up and stuck together. So I say to you, don't try to read it while it's up there. Make it easy on yourself. Where's my, make it easy on yourself. My Mr. Microphone. Ms. Microphone, I'll have you know. Write down the clutter, the thoughts that are cluttering your head. Write them down. Get them out of your head and down onto paper. That can really be eye-opening because you can't see. Your eyes do not turn and they cannot read all the stuff that's electrically going this, but your eyes can look out of your head and down onto paper to see what the thoughts are that are cluttering up your head. And they can be anything from, there's something I need to buy. I have it written down, big surprise. I have a shopping list. There's something I wrote down. I need to pick up, sunscreen for our trip. Okay. So writing down stuff makes it easier so you don't have to keep that thought up here. It helps you remember that because you have a tool to use in your toolkit, not just your brain. When you stop overloading your brain with thoughts, and I'm not saying don't think at all. I am a thinker, and thinking is very powerful and good, and it can also be scary, yada, yada. What I say to you is, if you are feeling cluttered in the head, cluttered in the heart, cluttered in the house, let's get the clutter out and write this stuff down. Maybe some of the thoughts in your head that are cluttering it up are things I need to do around the house. So then you open up your notebook. I like to do this sometimes in the back of the notebook. And you write down, header, list of things I need to do around the house. And then you dump that stuff out on the paper so that your brain, like when you have like a heavy cart of something and it's heavy to push and you're carrying it around, or like a suitcase, because I like the travel metaphor. You are lugging around a suitcase full of thoughts and it's heavy. But if you put those things in other things, maybe even instead of one big bag, you put it in a few different bags. This is the bag for carry-on. That's the one for when I get into the hotel. So dump your thoughts down on paper. It is a freaking game changer. And this is like life coachy, but this is also seriously. Okay, there we go. True says, I used to write all the time. I haven't in a few months, so I'll pick it back up. Yeah, we drop habits. We use habits. We use habits, and we may drop them for a while. It's okay to pick it back up. Now, true, I have done in the past. I wish I had, I do like trainings for like clients and people on my mailing list and stuff like that. But I offer to you, look at what you wrote down, and some of the things you wrote down, if it's in that list of things to do, you may have already done them. Okay? So rejoice in the things that you wrote down back a few months ago that you got done. Cross them out, put a line through them, and then rewrite them in the list of shit I got done. And be like, yay! Anne, good morning. I raise my coffee cup to you, even though it's full of tea. Rejoice in what you have done. Cut yourself some slack for what you haven't done yet, or you thought you were going to do and you didn't, and start afresh today. Start afresh because it's you today is different from you yesterday. You today, you're older, hopefully you're wiser, okay? Hopefully you're wiser, and you have a different perspective on the world now than you did last week, your own world. Back in the day, as a kid, I wanted a pony. That was something I wanted. They used to have this, it's maybe like a deep, like Gen X cult. No, I don't mean it's cut, like a deep cut, like an album. But I remember getting, I think it was Charleston Chew candies. And they would have these little blue and white wrappers in them. And you could like send away the wrapper for an opportunity to win a pony. Once I wanted a pony, and other times I wanted something else. Now, there we go. Okay, so Katie says, good morning. I have lists. Good. Many of us are list makers, but are we list doers? Okay, now here's a funny thing. Katie, I'm going to share with you because I think this is wicked funny. I was not an English major, but I love to play with words. And it cracks me up the fact that we use the word execute to be like, I'm going to execute my plan. Because to me, I think of execute and I think of a guillotine, like you're being an executioner, right? Okay, so I offer to you, Katie, you have a list. I just need to execute. You need to do the things that you said you wanted to do. I want to do these things on the list. Part of me does anyway, but a part of me doesn't want to do them for various reasons. So I would get curious about what are the things that feel easy on your list. Start with those and get those off. And then this is where I show up. I help you get curious about the stuff that you haven't gotten done and kind of walk you through the process of figuring out why you're not doing something. Now, a lot of it comes from, and I go back to what I said earlier, and if you guys weren't here earlier, no big deal. I repeat myself all the time because repetition is a way to learn something. Making sure your body feels okay, and then calming down your nervous system. Overwhelm. The word overwhelm is often one of the number one things that stops people from doing anything, which is kind of silly. Oh, I'm not saying you're silly, but it's like overwhelm of a few things kind of can shut you down completely. Overwhelm is something we sometimes do to ourselves and we don't even realize it. And overwhelm to me equals the thought of too much. Okay, it's over your head. I'm drowning. I'm feeling suffocated, all that. And true is saying, I haven't gotten done and I feel very stuck. So yes, overwhelm can result in you feeling stuck. You haven't got a car? Okay, I can't find a job. Maybe I do too much. So notice you've got those thoughts swirling around in your head about maybe these are some reasons why I haven't gotten things done and I feel stuck. I would get those thoughts out of your head. True, it's great. You already started. You wrote them down in the comments. Write them down in a place where you can see them after the comments have scrolled by. You don't have a car. Okay, that could be a bad thing. That could be a good thing. I can't find a job. Well, maybe you just haven't found a job yet. Maybe I do too much. Maybe I do too much. Maybe you list all the things that you do. Maybe you're overwhelming yourself. It is really hard. Do you guys? Okay, there we go. Anne, I love this. Sometimes I struggle with how big of chunks to put on the list. I love this. So I like to chunk things down very small. Like cut it into little bits. You know, like you're cutting out. Num, 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 num. Oh, lovely, lovely vegetables. Okay? I like to start with small chunks. I would say this, Anne, one of them would almost be like one of the ways to think about this. How big of a chunk to put on the list? I would say chunk down all your lists, all of your chunks into smaller chunks so that you can kind of put fewer things on there as opposed to the one big, like I'm going to do all the laundry. How about I'm going to put one load of dark clothes in the washing machine? Notice all the laundry is then chunked down because when you write it down, you can then see what you're doing and see how can I chunk it down further. Now, but the other thing that is beautiful about being able to chunk down the tasks that you have, the stuff that you want to do into the smaller sub-actions, is that it allows you to better utilize the time you have during any given day and the energy you have on that day. If you don't have a lot of time and don't have a lot of energy, if you try to put a big block of stuff on there, you're going to be like, oh, I can't do any of it, and you get none of it done. But if you took that block and you divided it into like, I don't know, like this is a big block of something, but you know, this shelving unit I have behind me, pretend this is one task, but each thing is always chunk downable. Okay? So write down the chunks and then you can put some little chunks in and at least kind of cross off, almost like if you were playing bingo, you could cross off the ones you did do so that at least you got started. Really, honestly, what I try to do, what the reason I'm here is to help you get started when you're stuck. When you're stuck in overwhelm and doom and gloom and all that, to say, okay, I can choose to stay stuck, or somebody's here helping me put you out of the mud. Okay? So to help you get started. But then also, frankly, on the other end of it, is helping you to stop. Now, this is really for my ADHD people. Learning how to stop and then get started again. Now, this reminds me, once again, of learning how to drive. In learning how to drive a standard shift car. Now, you can tell by the rings around my eyes that I'm of a Gen X generation. So some youngsters may not know what a standard shift car is, but man, if you ever tried to, you could get the car started maybe, but when you stopped and you need to start again, that was a skill you needed to learn of how to stop and not stall out, because you do need to stop sometimes. Now, this stopping and starting again is really something that I know because I'm surrounded by people with ADHD, including my family and myself and my husband and all this. That can be really challenging for people who have a hard time getting started. So, and then don't want to stop because they know how hard it has been in the past to start again. Okay? So I hope some of that stuff that I said helps. Treat your body, scan your body down, shake your body down to the ground, get it moving, get your body feeling okay. Calm down yourself so you can even hear yourself think. That's a phrase from my family. It's so crazy out here, I can't hear myself think. So quiet down whatever you need to quiet down, and then listen to yourself. And then listen to what you are thinking. There's gold in them thar hills, people. There is so much value, wisdom, insight, sight in you. But if you never slow down and quiet down enough to access that, you're going to repeat the same habits over and over again. And your habits have gotten you to wherever on the map you are today. You started somewhere down the road when you were born. You are here today because of what you think and feel and do. Now, I hope you're in a good place. I really do. And I know you've got really good stuff going on. I'm just here to help you crack the nut of using that concept to help you with too much stuff. Okay? There we go. Now, Barbara says, I took on a huge project. Played yesterday's TikTok on YouTube for support. Stopped to eat. And at 8:30 and 9, she finished. I love it. So, very cool. Barbara, I hope you realize, and please, that even the huge project you took on consisted of a whole bunch of little steps to get it done. Now, I am honored that you played yesterday's TikTok on YouTube for support. And for those of you, again, who don't know me, I'm Beth, Destination Decluttered, Decluttering Life Coach. I show up and do TikTok lives. I also do YouTube lives, and all of my lives are recorded and uploaded to the Destination Decluttered channel on YouTube so that you can access them when I'm not live. Yay, Anne says, I was playing some recordings in the attic last week. Wonderful. Wonderful. That is a great resource, and I'm going to share that with you guys right now because as of yesterday, let me just double check here. This is kind of fun. There are 803 videos. Most of them are an hour long. So think about that. That's over if you watched 1 hour a day, that's 2 years worth of videos. More than 2 years worth. Okay? And I just want to offer to you, those are going to be, if you like what you're hearing from me, those are going to be a real valuable resource for the next 2 weeks, because starting on this coming Sunday, you will not see me live on the internet unless I decide to do a pop-up, and even that I don't want to commit to because I don't want to promise something and not provide it. So I say, if you haven't seen or even been to the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel, please check it out. Because a lot of what I do is this. I help people solve problems, helping you, remind you the order, help you do stuff. Now, I love it. So, yay for doing that. Now, this is fun. Barbara is recharging my head, body, and phone from 8 to 8:30. There you go. All of us need to recharge. Cars need gas in the tank. Electric cars need to be plugged in again. Our phones are full at the beginning, and then you use them and they wane. Our bodies, as humans, we're the same way. So I hope you charge yourself, and throughout the day, you give yourself time to recharge. Love it. Good morning. Yay, Hagen loves the videos. Thank you. I'm so glad, because this is how I have created a life that I freaking love. And one of the things I knew that was important to me was to be able to say, hey, I'm not going to be here, but I don't want to leave you high and dry or alone. That's why we have the email group, and a subset of that email group is people who said, I want to get in touch with other people. So we get the Pen Pal Club. All of that is free. So I want to make sure you're taken care of when I'm not around. And I also want you to not rely on just me, that kind of Pavlovian, oh, Beth's on, and TikTok, Destination Decluttered live on TikTok, I'll start decluttering. That is great. Use that when it's available, but it's not always going to be available. So what else can you do to get yourself motivated to do some things? And videos can help. They're kind of like podcasts, Johnny. And they can help you remind yourself. Here's the funny thing. It really is the words in your head. The words in your head make such a difference in how you feel. Your head makes you feel a certain way in your heart, and your head and your heart direct what you do with your hands. For when I am live and I am speaking, your unhelpful voices are probably kind of quieted down because you can't listen to two things at one time. So you're focusing on listening to me, and I show up in helpful mode, fun mode, I don't know, courageous, love, problem solving, wacky sidekick in the car. And notice how that feels for even just however much time we spend together. Pardon me as I spit all over the place. Notice how it feels to stop the negativity, the unhelpful, the fearful thoughts, really. And then just notice how it feels to listen to somebody who is like, oh my God, you can do this. I so know you can do this. This is so good. It feels better, doesn't it? And who doesn't want to feel better? So teaching yourself to quiet down, what I like to call, again, in the car metaphor, the unhelpful backseat driver voices, and then turn up the volume on the wacky sidekick, the helpful navigatrix in the passenger seat. Okay? So notice the difference. Now, Anne has got a big benchmark to share. I realized that this week is the first ever that I've been in every room. So there was one day this past week that I set foot in every room of the house, first time. Congratulations. Yeah, there may be rooms you are afraid to go into. Fear. Fear is a big thing, people. Do not underestimate fear. But also do not underestimate love. You may have places in your home that you're afraid of. You may have containers that you're afraid of opening up. Opening up that can of worms. Who created that? Have they really ever canned worms? Del Monte worms with garlic sauce? I mean, seriously, I always wonder who opened up that can of worms, or Pandora's box. Oh no, it's better to keep it closed. But if you're able to, what a good way of feeling that way. You know? What a good way to feel not afraid of your house. You know? And I love it. I decluttered some attics so I could put antiques from others' currently unused rooms. That's great. Yay. Good stuff, my friend. Good stuff. I relocated to antiques and enjoy happy memories of my mom. Yeah. Many of us are afraid to declutter because we are afraid of feelings of any kind, but primarily bad feelings. And even when we feel good feelings, oftentimes clutter is evidence of stuff that maybe happened in the past that worked out or didn't. You know, the rice cooker that you bought and you thought you were going to make all these things and it sits there with dust on it. The, antique from your mom who has now passed away. the clothing that you used to fit into that you don't fit into anymore, the pictures from relationships that are no longer in your life. Each one of those things makes you feel a feeling. And sometimes feeling your feelings can be something that's you're not used to and you're uncomfortable. So just notice that. Okay? Yeah, it could be toy worms, you're right. Fishers do buy worms in plastic tubs. Before plastics, perhaps they came in cans. Yeah, could be, Barbara. Barbara. There's no I's in Barbara when you grew up in Boston. Barbara. But there's one I. Alrighty, I love it. Jelly Bee says, if something reminds me of a bad feeling, I get rid of it. I love that. I do the same. But Hagen, let me help you with this one. Hagen says, I am struggling with the garage. Okay, so the garage. What's your struggle? Elaborate and I can help you. Okay? Elaborate and I can help you. Christine from the West Coast, you're up early, my dear. Many of us get up early nowadays. Struggle often comes with overwhelm and not writing stuff down. So I'll share that with you. You may not have, and this is where I love to pull out my, Okay. True says, I avoid it and self-manipulation because it's easier than facing processes I don't fully understand. How about instead of facing something that you don't fully understand, how about partially understanding it? I keep it simple. Notice you have options and which one feels better short-term and long-term, you know? So speaking of, I don't fully understand something. This is my little thing about road trip. Now I'm here on the East Coast of Massachusetts, of the country, born in Mass, born in MA, living in PA, love PS, Palm Springs. So this is a road trip, okay? You do not need to know your lefts and rights and lefts and rights and lefts and rights and every single one of these things in order to just get started. Sometimes you cannot know what to do ahead until you start moving and you get to there. How would I have known that there was a detour in Oakley, Kansas? You're not going to know that when you're way back here. That's why it is so helpful to just get started and get started pointed in the right direction. I said this and also here, this is a bit of a misnomer. I feel like I should almost erase this and not put a straight line because you know that phrase, as the crow flies, we're very close, but you and I are not crows. You and I will take detours and have to go up hills and down hills, and we need to stop and take a rest. And we may have to, there's a, we get lost and then we go straight again, and then the roads don't go the way we want to. So it is rarely ever a straight line, but there is a line that connects where you are and where you want to be and getting started. Okay? Now, alrighty. So Hagen says, it has become a dumping ground. It is horrible, but I don't know where to start. So Hagen is talking about her garage. Okay, so this is where, bigger picture, Hagen, okay? Having some understanding of how things got that way can help you create a different system. You go out there and you notice, okay, this is what the garage looks like today. How did it get this way? Well, you have the insight in saying, well, we dump a lot of stuff here. Now, then I would get curious about what are some of the categories? Because again, part of chunking down things, and think chunking begins with a C, categories begins with a C. Chunking down into categories. Looking at your stuff, and instead of being overwhelmed by all the mishmash, what are some categories of things that you and your family have dumped stuff into? Chunk down that stuff. You don't need everything, but what are some major heavy hitters? Like our garage is right now, it's got a bunch of stuff from the basement. It's got some of my husband's music gear and, some stuff like some lawn bags. Okay? So chunk down and write down. Okay? Destination garage. Before you even start to do it, what I would highly recommend is say, how do I want it to look? What am I aiming for? How do I want it to look, function, and feel? Write that down to just get yourself started, to start to create the image of the after. Like you're at the before, right? Like HGTV. Creating the image of the after in your brain starts to create that, because you are saying, I can, like, that's what I want it to look like, so you know what to aim for. After you do that, look at some of the stuff that's easy to remove from the garage, and not necessarily just move from one place to another. Are there things that you can throw away because they're true trash? Are there things you can donate? Start with that. But then what you might find out, and this is for everybody, is that you dump things in certain places for certain reasons. And sometimes it's because of, I'm running into the house and I just dump everything. But if you don't go back, and if you have the habit of not going back and kind of putting things away where they're supposed to be, it may be because you don't have a place where they're supposed to be to put them. So really slowing down and examining your process. Now, I've had a bunch of jobs in my life because I'm Gen X and I was an art history major. Guaranteed a high-paying job out of college doing that one, right? Huh? God. But at a certain point, I was a process engineer. And if you want to get that result, you got to slow down and see where your current system is not giving you that result, and we can change those things along the way. Okay? Whoops. All right. No. And here's a fun thing. Okay, Hagen and everybody, let me shout this from the rooftops. Sorry, something just fell. There we go. Do not remove everything from the garage like a blank canvas. No. I know Marie Kondo mentioned that, and other people do. I personally and professionally do not recommend that. The overwhelm of moving things simply from point A to point B is avoiding the decluttering. It just is moving things. You could get anybody to empty out your garage. And yes, you have destination empty garage, but then you've got all the shit that you haven't dealt with, right? So I say, Hagen, no. Good, I'm glad you asked, so I could be like, no, don't do that. But instead, do this. Go out to your garage. Start to look at the stuff, not with judgment, but with curiosity. What the hell do we even have in here? Why is this here? And not judgy. Curiosity will open you up. Judgment will shut you down. Okay? All right, we have stuff from moving. Okay? Stuff from moving. Is that like boxes and packing stuff? Like what do you call it? Packing paper and things? Notice that's a category. What can I do? Do I want to keep this stuff again? Or what's a good way for me to get this, remove this from my life? Okay? Now, do it a little bit at a time. Now, Lissa is saying, and I'm going to shift here, right now it's my dad's estate, okay? My mom says go room to room. I just can't. I'm doing what I'm able to do when I'm mentally able. Okay. Your mom has a certain way of doing things. You have your way of doing things. Neither of them are right or wrong. They're right or wrong depending upon, or not wrong, they are right for the person who it works for. Your mom is trying to help you by telling you what works for her, but if it doesn't work for her, that don't have any judgment on that. I think a lot of people, there are kind of that, and again, I don't like to over-categorize people, but there are like neurotypical people, and then there's, to me, everybody else. What works for one person may not work for another. So notice why going room to room, though. This is where I say, though, get curious. Why does go room to room not work for you? Now, what I say is this, okay? This is what I think. Every room is filled with decisions. And I like to say decluttering is decision making, okay? Every room contains a hierarchy of decisions. And this is where my brain goes to, like, kind of like the crust of the earth, and then you get down to like the core. You've got surface clutter in every room, you've got stored clutter in every room, and you've got sentimental clutter in every room. If you don't have the decision-making muscle to do the deeper stuff, then you're going to be shying away from that. You would have to go every room. You're going from shallow to the deep stuff, kind of like a swimming pool. So I recommend chunking things down and looking for those 3 categories. What is some surface clutter that I can easily let go of, donate, throw away, whatever your way of doing it is, in every room? But notice, when I'm mentally able to do something means, decision making involves your mentality. And feeling more ready to make those decisions can make those decisions, that decision making process, easier. So I say start with the easy stuff. Start with the easy stuff to get your muscles moving. Again, I talk about like going from the shallow end of the pool and then wading in a little bit deeper as you get more comfortable. Also, it's just like going to the gym, working a physical muscle in your body. You would never go to the gym having never done anything before and immediately go and try to pick up like the 100-pound, weightlifter thingy, the dumbbell. All right? So chunk it down and start with the simple stuff. That will build your muscle. And it will give you confidence. It will also give you space to spread out some of the stuff that's stored that you're going to need to look at if you want to make decisions about what you have. Okay? So, yeah. And notice what works for some people doesn't work for everybody. Thank God I found that out myself. And the neurotypicals, and this is me being kind of judgy, but this world is set up for a certain kind of person, and it is meant to make you think that if it doesn't work for you, there's something wrong with you. And I say no, there is a way to create systems that work for more people. I know this because I am left-handed, and this is a right-handed world. So I have known since I've been a little kid that this world was not typically built for me. Scissors, doorknobs, buttons, everything is built for right-handed people. So I say to you, just because what you've done in the past to declutter has not worked for you, that doesn't mean that you've done everything. I show up and I show you different ways to do this. Okay? Yay. Alrighty, Ellen, nice to see you. Yeah. Now, True says, make a rule for yourself when you go to the garage. You have to take care of 5 or 3 things every time. Yes, that can chunk down things, all right? But if you have an internal rebel, now that's more like Gretchen Rubin type stuff, and I highly recommend her book, The 4 Tendencies or whatever. But if you make a rule for yourself, you also may want to, and Christine knows what I'm talking about, as soon as you make a rule, you may flip the bird at it. Be like, you can't tell me what to do. I'll do what I want to do when I feel like it. And if I feel like it, I'm going to go do it. So sometimes making a rule helps. Sometimes calling it a rule. Rules were meant to be broken. Sometimes that will have a counter effect. So again, learning what makes you tick, what helps make things easier for you, and what makes things more difficult. All right? Yeah. There we go. And I love it because I'm saying I always have to make rules for myself that just make sense for me. So wonderful. Yeah. And I love it. Damn it, Donna says, this is my favorite class. Makes me feel not alone. I love it. Yay. Awesome teacher and classmates. Well, thank you. I never wanted to be a teacher, but man, when you are excited, I remember this from college. When somebody is excited about what they know and they are not just rote teaching it because it says this and I'm trying to make money and yada, yada, but they are engaged and they really love what they're doing, there is energy there. And I would not be showing up on a sunny, because the sun literally just came out. You could probably see it. Oh, I would not be here on a sunny summer morning talking into my phone if I did not freaking love sharing this concept with you, because this way of thinking and chunking down and quieting down my nervous system and quieting down the scared voices and trusting in courage and love and moving towards what I want and getting what I want and appreciating it and building that skill set has freaking changed my life so much that I just want to share it. And that's what I'm doing. You are our mentor. I love it. Maybe I'm a mamtor. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. And Barbara says, spot on. As a lefty, I adapt more readily than most people because I can I can see things from a different perspective. Yeah. 100%. Learning to see things from different angles. If you do it this way, I have to do it that way. You know? Interesting. Karen says, this is so strange, but since I've lost 50 pounds recently, congratulations, I have decluttered my whole house. Yes. And that is wonderful. That is wonderful. I would get curious, because the reason I say get curious is I don't want you to think that any of these things that have worked for you are a fluke. I think it's a fluke. No. I want you to get curious what worked for you. Why did you do what you did? And typically there's a thought in your head that makes you feel a certain way in your heart to then move your hands to do a certain thing. So find out what that is so you can use that again. Now, dot, I see it just a dot or a period. I'm new here. Will this live be uploaded later on YouTube? It totally will. Destination Decluttered YouTube channel. So yes. Also, if you're new here too, for you and anybody else who's showing up, my name is Beth. My coaching is called Destination Decluttered. I love putting that destination word in there because it reminds me to remind you to say, and myself, what am I heading for? What do I want? What do all these things that I say I have to do, what are they going to get me? Are they going to get me closer to the life I want, the way my house looks, or are they going to keep me where I am, or are they going to get me even more cluttered? So if you're interested in what you're hearing and all that, I do TikTok lives and YouTube lives only for a few more days this week because then I travel, as I do often. However, there's a email group that's a really cool group of people. You can stay connected with what I do. And if you're interested, if you're in the email group and you want to connect with different people in the email group, we have a subset called the Pen Pal Club for people who say, I want to reach out to somebody from Destination Decluttered so that I can have some accountability. I'm feeling lonely. I don't know what to do. So people have said, yes, I want to connect with you. Okay, Martha. Okay, Martha, my dear. Martha, my dear. I love it. I got a Martha. Again, another name that you didn't realize had an R in it when you grew up in Boston. Okay, we got Barbara and Martha, right? So, this is what I do. I do one-on-one coaching with people, but I'm not talking about that a lot lately, simply because I'm going to be away for 2 weeks and it would be a disservice to get you all riled up and say, yes, I want to coach one-on-one with Beth, and then I'm gone. However, when I return, September, October, November, December, there will be opportunities available to work together, okay? So even if, I don't care how old you are, what year you were born, and what age, what number it says on your birthday card this year. If what you're doing with your stuff and clutter doesn't give you that result you want, I'm glad you're noticing that. Noticing is a huge thing. I've noticed that, well, how did I get here, as David Byrne would say? And getting curious and undoing some of the habits that got you there. Habits of thinking, habits of feeling, and habits of doing. And many times we work just on the surface. But if you do not consult the oracle, as I like to say, your head and your heart, it won't have a lasting effect. Or it's very unlikely. But when you get why you do things, and it could be something as shallow and superficial as that's the way I was taught, versus somebody did something, made me feel bad about something in the past, and I have tried to avoid that feeling, and that's why I do what I do. So it can be shallow, it can be deep end, but checking in with yourself is really going to be the way I like to coach. I would get bored out of my gourd if all you and I ever did was learn how to like color code things from left to right, high to low. I mean, I love the result of that stuff. Do not get me wrong. That kind of like, but it's not decluttering. It's not decluttering. Decluttering is decision making. Decluttering is deciding what you want in your life and what you don't want in your life. And then taking the action to keep the stuff you want and to easily let go of the stuff you don't. Anybody can put things in Roy G. Biv order. Yeah, that's organizing after you declutter. You can organize and never declutter and you still feel like you have too much stuff. Okay? Yeah, to get the results you want. And if you don't, and you're like, to get the result you want, and what is, what is the result you want? What are you aiming for? Start with the end in mind, one of those business books said. But it's true. Here I go. Pulling out my old thing. Can I erase that? I'll see if I can erase it by tonight's thing, and I'll just put a little more zigzaggy. Okay, it's a little bit more honest. You can't start anything until you know why you're doing it. Like, not even why, but like where you want to go. I want to go to there, as Tina Fey's daughter said once famously. Okay, how do I get there? Now I've got a point here and a point there, and there's a dotted line that's going to connect that. Little steps along the way. And the more you know about where you're headed and why you're headed there, you may be on the total wrong road, frankly, to get to where you want your home to look. You may be still buying too much stuff. You may be buying, here's the thing that happens a lot, the Container Store. Anybody here ever buy containers thinking that, oh, I just need the right container and then I won't be cluttered? Me, I mean, seriously, look at how many containers are on these shelves right here. I am less cluttered than I was, but what I will also help you realize is the container comes after. Yeah, Grace says, I did. And then after you declutter, you have so many containers, right? So let's not do that. I've done that myself. Now I am cluttered with containers, yes. Because the containing of the stuff is not the problem. The stuff itself is the problem. Now they can be very cool containers. As you can see, you can use many things for containers. But what I offer to you is it's the step before the container. It's deciding what goes in the container and what doesn't go in the container. To back it up, to say, like you can move things from one place to another. Anybody can do that. You can hire, any mook with two hands. Pay him a couple of bucks. He can empty out your garage. But then all the stuff has gone from point A to point B. You still have to make the decision. And sometimes we containerize things to make decisions later. Yeah. I think the containers are procrastination tools if you buy them before. Of course. Yeah. But frankly, sometimes if you don't know how to declutter and you listen to people who sell you containers, then you may believe, oh, maybe I just need the right containers. But perhaps for some people it has worked. What I truly believe, though, is the thing that's really the bugging you about decluttering. And I'm not want to speak for you. True, I'm glad. Nice to have a good day. Thank you for letting me know. The thing that's bugging you is not the stuff, but it's the quantity of stuff you have and the quality of stuff you have. And what I mean by quality isn't necessarily is it expensive or not, but the energy that it has in it, the story that item tells you. Do I need all these things? And then having the courage, having the love for yourself to say, yes, I want to keep this, but no, it's okay to let this go. Now, do you end up with an empty house? No. What you end up with is you've balanced the scales a bit. Too much makes you feel a certain way. Not enough makes you feel equally as crappy in another way. So what we do is we let go of more of what you don't want. And then you feel a little bit more, as Depeche Mode would say, get the balance right. Feeling a little bit better. Not feeling like I'm hungry, but not feeling like I'm so stuffed I feel like I'm going to throw up. You're feeling just right. Like Goldilocks and the porridge. That's what we're going for. If it looks a certain way, but it doesn't feel good, it doesn't count. And I feel like I'm like ad-libbing something from church or whatever. But if it looks nice on the surface, but it doesn't feel good underneath, you're going to feel that way underneath. You are a smart person. You pick up on stuff. Sometimes when you're in other people's houses, all you see is the surface. So you think, this is great. These people have it all figured out. You don't know that they have a cellar or an attic or a garage that are filled with things that they've hidden. You see people who buy all sorts of things and you don't realize that they're hiding their credit card debt. So learn more about yourself. And I mean this in a fun, easy, simple way. I don't say jump into the deep end. I say wade into the water and notice what you do and why you do it. An examined life. Now, Grace says decluttering changed the way I shop. Yeah, me too. Me too. I used to go out kind of shopping a lot, or I would call it thrifting, or, trash picking, or whatever it was. And I would bring home tons of stuff. I have slowed down. I have turned the faucet down so much on what comes into this house. Have I stopped it? No. Because there are certain things that you do need to buy, to live on this planet. When I do go thrifting, I barely go thrifting because I actually like to prefer right now, I go to curated places. I'll go to like an antiques mall or like a mid-century modern store because I don't find joy in digging around that treasure hunting because I'm good with what I have. And when I'm not good with what I have, I notice, like, for example, we're having friends over tomorrow. And I realized the last time we had people over, I didn't have any little like melamine dishes to put apps on when we're out on the patio. So I went out the other week and I went to one of those antique stores that I used to just love and look at everything, but I was looking for something specific and I found them and they're so damn cute. I'm wicked psyched about it. So I still get charged up about seeing things that I like, but I feel okay seeing things that I like and knowing that I don't have to buy them in order to enjoy them. I love it. And Grace says, decluttering changed the way I shop. I feel more in control. So notice when you were shopping before, that implies a certain out of control feeling. So do you have a feeling of being in control of your feelings, of your money, of your actions when you are out shopping? Or are you feeling out of control and you're just randomly grabbing stuff and you're like, oh, I'll figure it out later? There's a difference. And you get to choose. Again, I go back to the very beginning. A very good place to start. I'm trying to put the R in there. You have a choice. You can keep on doing what you're doing and feeling that way, or you can stop that and try something different. Yeah. Now, Becky says, I definitely shop less now and my credit card bill is lower. And I love that. I love that feeling of not being afraid to open up my credit card bill. I love not being afraid to open up the bill. I love the feeling of feeling good about what I did spend my money on. I've got a credit card bill right here. Oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. I feel good about it. And I feel good about being able to pay my bills. Good, good, good. Who doesn't want to feel good? Now, Grace is saying, decluttering changed the way I shop. I feel more in control. Back in the day, I was avoiding my emotions. And I'll just kind of wrap up because it's 9 a.m. now and I'm going to sign off. But notice where your fear of decluttering could have something to do with you wanting to avoid feeling some emotions that may be uncomfortable. I get that. I get that. You don't have to declutter. You don't have to feel your emotions, but you are missing out on a rainbow of the human experience if you try to stop making yourself feel. Okay? Now, as I wrap up, Destination Decluttered, okay? Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. I truly enjoy it. Seriously, Grace, I would not show up if I didn't enjoy it, okay? So I love hanging out with y'all, as Carla would say, okay? I'm going to hang out with y'all, okay? Oh, thank you, Anne. I appreciate it. She says, thank you for your good work and everyone's company. A connection, some helpfulness. This is the stuff. I love it. Barbara's doing great stuff. Just a reminder, too, I will be doing an evening, East Coast, 8 p.m. Eastern YouTube Live tonight. Everybody's invited. If you want to get the times for the TikTok Lives and YouTube Lives for tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, make sure you are part of the email group. If you want to join in, destinationdecluttered.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, put in your email address, hit send, boom, you're part of it. Okay? Sue, I look forward to seeing you tonight. See you at 5 p.m. Pacific. Christine, love it. The sun is out. Sun is shining in the sky. There ain't a cloud in sight. I'm going to go play. I'll catch you guys later. Okay, teacher, nice to see you. So many good people here. What a great group of folks. And you are part of that, all right? I'll see you tonight. Bye.